volunteer engagement here at Baruch. Glad to welcome you to the academic year-long mentoring program. As Kimberly said, I hope everyone had a fantastic summer as we get set to begin this academic year. I'm particularly pleased to report that we have 261 total mentors this year, 66% of whom are returning. That's always fantastic. To the 34% of mentors who are new, welcome. Welcome to the EOC network and the EOC program. You're going to find that this is a wonderful experience, and you, as a mentor, will gain just as much from this program as the student mentees. That's the feedback we always hear, and our returning mentors, I'm sure, can vouch for that. I'm also pleased to report that 79% of mentors this year are Baruch alumni. This is the highest we've ever had, and we are just so grateful to having alumni come back and participate in this program and who want to pay it forward and speak to current students and share your own shared Baruch experience. Of course, we also have many mentors who are not Baruch alumni, and we appreciate you just as much, and so grateful that you've decided to participate in this program. In addition, 11% of our mentors are from out of state, from out of New York, from Texas, Florida, Pennsylvania, all over the country. That really shows how the power of technology has made mentorship look different in the year 2023. And thank you to all those who are joining us from across the country to participate in this program. And 550 plus student applications came in this year. That is also a record. So thank you to all the students for showing such interest in this program and recognizing the power of mentorship. This is going to be a wonderful year ahead, and I wish you all a wonderful, wonderful year. And I hope for students one day down the line, you will return as mentors as well and pay it forward to the next generation of students. And finally, just a quick update on the Office of Alumni Relations. We have a number of events coming up that some of our alumni mentors and other mentors may be interested in. There's a real estate networking event in October, an undergraduate alumni homecoming, an education virtual panel, and we have two events that are also open to students, a Caribbean event in collaboration with the Black and Latino Studies Department, and a book launch for one of our alumni who works in digital marketing. I will provide a link in the chat shortly so you can see all of our upcoming events if you're interested in attending. But once again, the emphasis of tonight is on the Executives on Campus mentoring program. So thank you again to everyone for being a part of this. I wish you all a wonderful year ahead. And I kick it back to Kimberly now to take the rest of the event. Thank you, Kimberly.
Thank you so much, Greg. As you can see and hear, right, we have a busy calendar ahead. As Greg mentioned, we do hope students who are here tonight, we hope that at some point in the near future, you do return and come back as a mentor. We do actually have several mentors here this year in our year-long program who were former mentees. So they've been in your shoes. And so we do hope that we kind of continue that tradition. So now I'm actually going to go, like I said, we do have a really full schedule today, but I do want to briefly just quickly do a quick recap because I know many of you here, mentees and mentors, you did attend an orientation prior to this, but I do want to do a quick recap, just kind of really going over a little bit more about the academic year-long program, and then specifically some tips and some kind of, help that may actually help you when you have your first meeting. And then after my portion, we'll then go into a mentor and mentee panel where you'll actually hear from a former mentor and a former mentee who will share their story and really talk a little bit about challenges, but really how do they make it work, right? Because we know that all of you here, you're working, you have classes. So really just kind of sharing a little bit about things that have helped them through that. And then afterwards, the last half hour of the program from 6 to 6:30, we then will open it up for open networking. We will have various breakout rooms where you'll have the opportunity to meet other mentors and other mentees who are part of our program. Next slide. So again, all of you here are part of our academic year-long program. Our academic year-long program is one of our signature programs here at Executives on Campus. This particular program serves undergraduate juniors and our first-year grad students from all three schools. So mentors, as you were reading those bios and you're reading the essays of your mentees, you may have noticed that a lot of them are coming from different majors. It's not specifically just Zicklin, right? This particular program does run from September all the way through May. So today is our official kickoff. And so at this point, those of you who have been matched should be hearing from your mentees and really starting to schedule your first meeting. Next slide. So for the year-long program, we do have certain requirements and expectations, which I just want to run through really quickly. As I said, all of you have gotten this and probably have heard of it through our orientation, but I just want to kind of do another plug because it sometimes the matches that you guys get along and everything's going so well, but you forget to kind of check in, right? So the first thing in terms of expectations, we do ask that mentors and mentees that you meet in person at least once a month. We know that there are some mentors here that are not here locally. And like Greg mentioned, right, we have mentors from all over the world, all over the country. So if you are meeting with a mentor who is not here in New York and your match is actually being held virtually, you still need to meet virtually at least once a month. Right. And then outside of that, meetings, as long as you are maintaining regular contact, and regular contact could be via email, it could be via telephone, it could be a quick text, just really checking in with each other, you know, how's it going? What has been happening? How was your interview or whatever it is, right? But really just checking in with each other. There is a toolkit for our mentors and mentees, which I will go over in further details in the next couple of slides. But in that toolkit, there is a mentor-mentee agreement that we're asking both of you, if you can, in the first meeting, that you guys review and sign. It will go over all of these expectations and requirements and just making sure that you review in terms of holding you guys accountable as well. And then, as you probably have heard, mentors and mentees, you must check in with EOC staff at least once a month, all right? We will send you at the beginning of each month, or actually it's also on our website. So you will find it's a quick link to a survey that has a few questions. We just wanna make sure you guys are meeting, making sure that there's no concerns, no issues that are happening that maybe somebody in the EOC team needs to check in with, all right? So we do ask that you fill that out. All right. So I do kind of want to share with you some tips that I had that will really help with your first meeting. We know a lot of you, and I've been getting emails from a lot of you guys as well. You're really excited. Some of you are anxious to meet your mentor or your mentee, right? So just a couple of tips on what will help. My recommendation for you guys is, before you even go into your first meeting, is to make sure you review the mentor-mentee toolkit, right, that I just mentioned. This can be found on the EOC website. We'll put it in the chat box later with the link in case you don't have it. But once you go on the website, this toolkit has a guidebook for each of you, right? For the mentors and for the mentees. And within this guidebook, it lists really everything, right? Tools that will help you, tips that we have. It even has a calendar, a full calendar on recommendations in terms of what topics you may want to be covering in that particular month. It could be job searching, resume writing, things like that. Also, as you really start to think about your first meeting, once you review that toolkit, is really, I would say, for your first meeting to not really go in necessarily with an agenda per se, right? I really think both of you should really look at your first meeting as just getting to know one another, right? So before you go into that first meeting and how you kind of start, we know that sometimes mentors or mentees, you might feel either a little bit shy, a little bit timid to kind of really, just start talking away. So our recommendations is to get to know one another is first. Mentors, you received the essay responses from your students in the email when I sent you the match. So take some time to actually look through it, start to write down some notes, some questions you might have. And students, you've gotten your mentor's bio. So take a look at their bio, or if it's a link to their LinkedIn profile, take a look at that, start jotting some questions you might have, but really keeping it open and more as in kind of getting to know one another, right? I do think, though, it makes sense to also, in that first meeting, to really set some clear expectations and goals, meaning that once you've kind of gotten to know each other, what are some things that you guys want to accomplish together in this mentor relationship, right? Also, in terms of expectations, right? Are you expecting that, for example, mentors, are you expecting your mentee to show up on time, to respond to whatever mini assignments or I don't know, or readings that you want them to do, whatever it is, right? Be clear on what those expectations and really setting some goals. As I've shared in the mentor orientation, but mentees, this is for you as well. When you're setting those goals, my recommendation is that you have several short-term goals, but even think about bigger picture. What are some of those long-term goals that you would like to accomplish? Remember, this program goes from September through May, so a lot of your short-term goals may already be accomplished or can be accomplished in 1 month or in several weeks, right? So as you're finishing that, what else would you want to do with them? Again, review, sign, and return those mentor-mentee agreement. Once that has been signed, either mentees, you can send it directly to Canto or to the EOC main inbox, or mentors, you can send it back to me, whatever it is, as long as one of you in that mentorship relationship has signed it and sent it back. All right. It's also helpful in that first meeting to really start planning ahead. In terms of, for example, what is your meeting format going to be? Are we always going to be meeting once a month in person? For example, you may, mentors, if you're traveling and in a particular month, you cannot meet in person, if it's going to be virtual, please let your mentees know as you're discussing meeting format. And if it is going to be virtual, what is the platform you're going to use? Are we going to utilize Zoom? Are we going to utilize FaceTime? Also think about timing, right? And even how often. Are we going to meet once a month, right, for an hour? Or you might be a mentor mentee who would say, you know what, I want to have more meetings. If you want to meet twice a month, that's perfectly fine too, right? But even really thinking about how long those meetings will last. Just a side note, I think for the first meeting, you definitely want to try to maybe designate a little bit more than an hour, because sometimes those getting to know you conversations can go really well and you have such a great conversation. So you may want to set aside a little bit more time for the first meeting than future meetings that you have thereafter. Okay. Next. And just, quickly, just a reminder, right? In order for this mentorship relation to work, it's important that you guys are fully committed. And this is both for mentors and mentees, right? If you're finding one person in the party is constantly canceling, or you constantly have to reschedule, or they're not showing up for the meetings, that's a problem. And in the sense that that's already a red flag that this mentorship relationship may not work, right? If you're finding that's happening, right, please inform me, mentors, if you're finding that your mentees are not showing up or they're canceling, you need to let me know. Mentees, if you're finding that's happening with your mentors, please reach out to Canto directly and let her know. All right. Sometimes things happen, right? Work, you have a new project you've been assigned, or students, you realize you put too much on your plate and you cannot commit. That's perfectly fine, right? But we want you to let us know. Please do not just go missing and not responding to our emails, right? If you feel that you can no longer commit to this program, it's important you let us know, because in most cases we will rematch. Let's say if it's the mentee who's dropping out, we will rematch the mentor with another student, because as we've said earlier, we actually have almost 400 applications this year. And so there are going to be several students that may be on the wait list. So you letting us know, mentees, if you cannot fully commit, we can always assign another student. All right. We ask that both you guys, mentors, mentees, you remain flexible. As I said earlier, we know that you guys are working, some of you, with classes. So once in a while, if things need to change or you cannot meet, just try to be flexible, but there should not be a consistent pattern of cancellations and rescheduling, right? Again, go into these meetings both with that willingness to listen, to hear each other out. Mentees, you need to listen to your mentor if they're giving you feedback, if they're critiquing, be open to that, right? And also mentors, we're asking you to also listen to your mentees, right? Be supportive of them. They're all of our students here are coming from different walks of life, different experiences, different levels of skills. So just make sure you're really being open, listening to what their needs are, and really trying to learn from each other. All right. Excuse for the background noise here. And then last but not least, just really be proactive, right? And really, mentees, this is really for you. And when we say be proactive, meaning that if you're not hearing from your mentor, it's okay to just kind of check in, like, hey, how's it going? We know, like, haven't heard from you, right? Also you take, right, that kind of action in terms of, if there's something you want to learn, something you want to gain, tell your mentor, I would love to learn more about A, B, and C, or I would love to get some in-depth knowledge or your opinion on this. Be proactive, right? Because this relationship at the end of the day, mentees, this is really driven by you, right? Mentors are here to support you and to guide you and to share their knowledge. But at the end of the day, you guys are here for a reason. So be proactive. If you're not proactive, I can guarantee that it's not going to go well. And you're not, at the end of the day, you're actually putting yourself at a disadvantage, because you will find at the end, you will not learn anything, right? So just remember that. You can go to the next slide. And so then if you guys have any questions, again, you can reach out to me if there's something in the toolkit that you have not found, or you're running into an issue with your mentee, or you just kind of want to talk things out. I need some guidance. I'm not really getting anywhere in this mentorship relationship. So mentors, you can contact me directly. You know my email address probably by now. Mentees, if you are having any trouble, unfortunately, Canto is still running into some email and tech issues. So in the meantime, if you can actually email her directly at the Executives on Campus inbox, all right? And that is the link to our EOC website. If you would like more information, where you can access the mentor-mentee match agreement, where you can see the toolkit. We also have a bunch of videos on there as well, all right? And so now what I would like to do, I am going to actually turn it over to one of our advisory members and also one of our long-timers, a mentor here, Deshaun Simmons, who will actually introduce the next portion of our event.
Greetings, everyone. It's lovely looking at all of these beautiful faces. And now I'm not. Now I'm looking at mine. Hope you all are doing well today and that you're enjoying the launch event thus far. Thank you, Kimberly, for doing a great job of organizing this, you and the whole team. Much appreciated. So as Kimberly said, my name is Deshaun Simmons. I have been a part of EOC for many years. If there are any returning mentors who have been here at this launch event a few times over, you know by now that I never remember how long I've been a part of the program. It's just a long period of time, and I continue to be grateful to be a part of it. I'm a Baruch alum, class of 05, and I'm a member of the advisory committee, which is an organized group that helps to guide and support the overall Executives on Campus program, along with Kimberly, Canto, and the rest of the team. We have a number of members who are present on the call today, giving thanks to them for all of their hard work. We are a voluntary group. We put aside some time and effort to make sure that this program continues to grow and flourish. And we are always looking for feedback from the people that are in the program. So as mentees and as mentors, please feel free to reach out to us as advisory committee members, and also to Kimberly and Canto with any thoughts or suggestions that you may have about the program. As well as I just want to take a moment to also mention that while the committee has been around for quite some time, and I've been on the committee as vice chair for a little bit of time now, we are also looking for people that have been in the program for some years and are interested in joining the advisory committee. So definitely, if you've heard about the advisory committee over time, or if you feel really passionate about this program, because that's definitely a prerequisite. We're not looking for people who are kind of lax when it comes to this mentorship thing. We definitely want some new, fresh energy. So if you feel like you have that and have some ideas, please reach out to the team to see about having that conversation, and we can see.
There you go. Okay.
With that, I'm going to, as I'm hearing a little bit of feedback.
Answer him.
Just want to ask if everyone can please make sure that you are.
No, I do. It was good. It was.
Thank you. Uh, in regards to the overall program, I want to make sure that everyone is aware of the many tools and resources that we have available for both mentors and mentees. If you haven't been to the EOC, to the Baruch website in a while, we have a section on there. The actual URL is blogs.baruch.cuny.edu/EOC. And when you go to that page, you'll see resources for mentees, resources for mentors. Some of the resources that you'll see for the mentee side of things is there's links about the STAR Career Development Center, the Student Academic Counseling Center, as well as the ESP Speech Lab for ESL students. And there's plenty more. These are just like high level things that are really important resources that are available to you. And I can't recommend it enough that you take advantage of not only these resources, but all the resources that are a part of Baruch. When I was a student, I didn't know about a lot of these things and unfortunately didn't take advantage. So please do for yourself. Also, there's kind of like a starter kit that's available that you'll see as soon as you go onto the page, both for mentees and mentors. It has a guidebook. For the mentors, when you go to your section under resources, you'll also see instructional videos that speak to building a successful mentor-mentee relationship, setting goals, which is very important. Setting an intention for anything that we do is super important. Understanding personalities, because we all are human beings. We have different ways of being. And so what works for one person may not work for another. So being able to kind of see upfront when you meet with your mentee, when you look at that their resume, when you have that first meeting, on both sides, who is this person that I'm working with? Who is this person that I'm going to be engaged with for the year long? And how can I best take advantage of this opportunity to be connected with them? So that's a bit about what that understanding personalities is about. And also resuming the mentor relationship after the winter break, because we found over time that while we get started in September, things are kind of up and running. We have it's a really heated experience those first few months. And then we take break in the wintertime and it's cold. And when it's time to come back to class, to come back to our mentor-mentee relationship, there can be a bit of a shift. So it's important to really be prepared and to guard against that, to be proactive about it. And so that's what that video is about. And then closing out the relationship, making sure that the conversations that we have with each other are fruitful, that while, yes, we may have been paired for this year-long program, that doesn't mean that our relationship as mentor and mentee has to end at the end of the year. It can go beyond that. And so that video is really about knowing how to close out successfully and with strength. There's also FAQs for both mentors and mentees in the space. So be sure to take a look at those. And for our folks that are, I guess, tech savvy or that really enjoy the technical side of things, there is a Slack group. There is a Slack group for EOC. And so we definitely invite you all to join, to be in conversation and be in community with each other, because while we are here on this Zoom call, over 250 participants, this is community. And it does not end when we get off of this call. The Slack channel is an opportunity to stay connected. The different events that we have throughout the year are opportunities to stay connected. And so we ask that you all, again, take full advantage of what's here for you. And with that, I am complete in speaking about the tools and resources. And if I'm correct, I'm going to now introduce our mentor and mentee panel, which is actually, now they're fighting. The mentor and mentee panel was always my favorite. And now that we have the bonus round, as I call it, after 6 o'clock, the networking space, that's also fighting for the second place. But our mentor mentee panel discussion for this year, we have Priya Chamanti and Richard Shapiro. Priya is our mentee and Richard is our mentor. And a little bit about Priya. Priya is an international student hailing from India, currently pursuing her MS in marketing at Baruch College. Since beginning her academic journey at Baruch last fall, she's been an active participant in the Baruch community. And I can say that personally because I've worked with Priya on a couple of things. She has been a mentee in the academic year-long program for EOC. And she's also a student ambassador with EOC and supports us with our marketing and communication initiatives. She's also the president of the Zicklin Women in Business. Priya leads initiatives aimed at fostering professional growth and networking opportunities for her peers, and we thank her for that. Thank you, Priya.
Thank you for that introduction, Deshaun. Feel like I'm being put on the spot right now.
You're fine. We really appreciate your all that you contribute to the program. So thank you.
Thank you.
And now I would like to introduce Richard Shapiro. Richard is the founder and president of the Center for Client Retention. He's a widely respected expert on brand loyalty, customer retention, and the customer service experience. He founded the Center for Client Retention in 1988 to provide customized research, training, and consulting to Fortune 1000 companies. But before founding that company, Richard spent 18 years with ADP. One of the roles that he played was as vice president of customer satisfaction and client retention. He was also an adjunct professor at FIT here in New York. He's spoken both locally and on the international stage in many spaces, one at the National Retail Federation's Big Show here in New York City, as well as at the Global Contact Center Forum in Mexico City. He's been interviewed by tons of media outlets, including the New York Times, the Associated Press, the Wall Street Journal, ABC World News Tonight, and many others. Richard is also the author of 2 books, The Welcomer Edge, Unlocking the Secrets to Repeat Business, and The Endangered Customer, 8 Steps to Guarantee Repeat Business. Richard has also sat on the corporate advisory board for Commune Life Inc.'s Life is Precious program, which supports social services for at-risk Latina teenagers, and, has also served several years as chair of their organizing annual fundraising breakfast. And so I'm really honored to introduce you. Richard, thank you for being here to share your wisdom with us today. And without further ado, I turn it over to you both, Richard.
Yeah, let me just thank you to Sean and Kimberly, and especially Priya, and then my newest mentee, Crystal. I haven't met her yet, but I'm looking forward to that. And you can see that even though Priya and I didn't talk, we're both wearing the same uniform, black. So we're coordinated inside and out.
Thank you, Deshaun, and welcome, Priya, welcome, Richard. It is such an honor to actually have you guys here tonight and to serve on our panel. I'm so happy to be actually speaking with you guys tonight and really having you guys share. Priya, I know you're involved in so many things on campus, and really just you sharing tonight kind of your tips and really how you made it work, right? And Richard, you are a returning mentor. And so I'm hoping tonight for you to share with the group, just kind of those challenges you encountered. I think you actually started with us when COVID hit, or right before, right? So you've really had that aspect of that in-person meeting, but also handling the mentorships virtually. So really tonight, kind of sharing your expertise and those challenges, but also how you made it work is going to be great. So I want to ask you both, if you can first just really share with the group, why did you decide to get involved with EOC? Whoever wants to go first.
Yeah, I can go first. So as you read in my bio or heard in my bio, I was teaching as an adjunct professor, which I always wanted to teach. And I had an opportunity to teach at FIT for about 3 years. And then when COVID hit, the courses went online. And at the same time, we moved from New York City to Florida. So it just wasn't practical for me to continue. So I love teaching. I love the students. And, when this opportunity came out to be a mentor, I just welcomed it. In addition, I am a member of the Strategic Forum, which is a very prestigious organization of entrepreneurs and people in business. And we have 2 chapters. I'm actually on the board. One is in New York and one in Florida. So about 3 years ago, the New York chapter did decide that they'd have, start a group similar to what we had in Florida with our Nova University, where a group of students could not only participate in the program, but also attend the meetings, which are once a month in New York. So those are the two reasons. And I like to help, and I especially like to help young people, I guess.
Yeah.
Richard. And I'm glad he chose to do that, because for me, from my point of view, I am an international student. I just moved here last fall, completely new to the country, culture, it just everything. It was a lot for me moving here, both personally and just adjusting here professionally and academically. And I felt like, I mean, you do have friends on campus, you do meet people and you have your peers, but I felt like I needed some sort of like a help, someone to guide me, sort of, I would say, hold my hand through as I navigate all of the various things that, life threw at me last semester or last year. And I attended this fall student club fair, and I heard Canto speak about the EOC program, and it was just, I felt like it was probably something I should definitely look into, and I applied, and best decision ever. No regrets, no look backs on this.
Oh, thank you. So Priya, my next question actually is for you. And, you talked about being an international student, but just all of the other, aspects, right, in your life personally, but also even academically as a student that you have to encounter, especially being here first times, right? So can you kind of give and share what tips do you have for new mentees? Because I'm sure there's a lot of students here in this room tonight who are feeling like, oh, I'm in those same shoes, right? And so how did you really kind of navigate in, tips on kind of for new mentees who are joining the program, and really how do they make the most out of this mentorship relationship?
That's a great question. So my advice to all the new mentees is approach the whole mentorship with an open mind and be willing to learn. Initially I had this whole fear that, you could tell the difference, right? My bio was about like 30 seconds long, and then there was Richard's, which was just like, he has so much experience, and it was really intimidating. I mean, I was happy I got matched with him, but it was very overwhelming for me, because I kept thinking to myself, why would someone, so experienced want to spend like time with me every month? Like, what can I do? I'm not contributing anything to him. He's just like giving me his time. What am I bringing to the table? But looking back, it made sense to just set, over in multiple, so many interactions with Richard, became clear to me that he and like most of the mentors here, he is genuinely interested in doing this. He's really passionate. He is here. He signed up for this. He volunteered his time because he is interested and he wants to do this. It's not like he has to do this. So as soon as I came to terms with that, it felt like, okay, he might eventually learn or get something back from me, but I want to be clear. I want to be open. I want to ask him as many questions as I want, because I want to make the most of that 1 hour that we have. So, I would say, don't hesitate, like whatever it is that you want to ask or get out of this mentorship, like don't hesitate to ask questions, be clear with them, be proactive in your communication, and just remember that your mentor is here to support you. And so make the most of their expertise and insights. And I would suggest that you set clear goals. Some of us want to help. Some of us need help with networking. Some of us need help with academics. Some of us need help with job search. If someone is already working, they're looking to grow or move in their career, how to navigate a workspace. Each of us has a different goal, but be proactive in telling your mentor what you want out of this, and be thankful. A little appreciation goes a long way. So appreciate, give them feedback. If something is working with them, something is not working from what they said, give them feedback so they can adjust what they're saying accordingly. That's what I have to say for all the new mentees.
Thank you, Priya. So on that note, right, as you talked about kind of overcoming all and navigating all those challenges, right? So Richard, actually, this next question is for you, right? We have a lot of students like Priya, like I said, that are going through a lot of, right? Challenges to career, right? Or challenges academically, right? And so, it's very easy for students to kind of say, well, this mentorship, there's nothing in it for me, right? I'm not getting paid. I'm not getting any volunteer credits, right? So we see students sometimes they don't get engaged or they just drop out of the program. So we'd love to hear from you, Richard. How can mentors actually help their mentees stay engaged throughout the mentoring process so they don't drop out or they don't kind of just leave it?
Yeah, it's another good question. In my particular case, I do try to include my mentees as, talk to them about some of my personal business challenges and opportunities. I do have an active business. It's called the Center for Client Retention. We work with Fortune 100 companies or Fortune 500 companies. And, the mentees are all very smart. That's one thing I learned. All the mentees from Baruch College are really smart. So why don't I take some of this brain power and brainstorm? So I think it really keeps, the relationship focused not only personally, but also on this business relationship. So Priya just doesn't know me from the Baruch side, but she also understands what's going on in my business. And I guess the punchline to it, which Priya could mention later, I hired Priya for my business to work part-time, and it was an easy decision to make, and she's been just amazing. So because I had included Priya in my business, and not everybody has an opportunity to hire somebody, but certainly I also know a lot of people, so I've recommended Priya also even outside of my business. So I try to engage her not just with the mentee-mentor relationship, but also the things that are going on in business and life in the world, et cetera. So.
Excellent, thank you. I think you guys really hit it off from the very beginning, right? Richard and Priya, you guys, I was hearing so much from Priya how it was going, but in reality, right, not every mentorship relationship is that easy, right? We don't always, it doesn't always kick off or hit off that well. So, Richard, if you don't mind sharing, what was a significant challenge you experienced in your relationship with your mentee? It doesn't necessarily have to be with Priya, it could be from previous experience, but a challenge. And then how did you overcome that?
Well, actually, with Priya and I, we have our own joke that the only challenge was she's very chatty, but she's smart chatty, and I enjoy her chattiness. But I've been doing the program for 3 years. I am a relationship person, so not every mentee wants to build, the strong relationship, or some do. I mean, one of my, actually, he wasn't my direct mentee, but through the first year, Jacob Lamb became my mentee informally. And Jacob's like another son to me now. He's like my third son. So, but that's not going to happen with every mentee-mentor relationship. The one mentee that I really was so frustrated with is that he was trying to get a job. And for a year and a half, he could not get a job. And I constantly was, asking him how he was networking and what events he was going to and how the interviews went. I had him call me after every interview. But then finally, in the last couple of months, he did secure a really good job. So I was really happy about it. But, you don't have control over everything. But I really tried to nurture, my mentees as much as possible, as much as they want to, continue, working with me. And I'm still in touch with my original mentees, from the first year and the second year.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Thank you. I definitely can see that smart, chatty Priya. We know that from her EOC, right? Working with us also. Priya, I'd love to kind of hear from you. We know that you're very proactive. I think from our end, we've seen your involvement in so many different aspects of Baruch student life. But, working with Richard, right? What changes in yourself did you kind of observe given your mentorship relationship with him?
I would say there was a very noticeable change in my self-confidence because like I mentioned earlier, moving to a new country. I mean, I had work experience, and I have always been someone who's extroverted, who likes talking to people, chatty, as Richard said. But coming here, I felt, because of a lot of the changes, it kind of took a hit on my initial self-confidence because, it was a lot to handle. I was struggling with my time management, and, I was conscious of my language, accent, how I spoke, especially when I was networking. And just having someone like Richard guide me, because he has such a vast experience. I even went, in some of those meetings, there was no filter after a point because I was just like, Richard, I don't know what is okay to ask people here in the US, what is not okay. I don't know how to talk. Like when I go, I don't know how to make small talk here. And it just becomes impossible because I'm overwhelmed and I don't know how to small talk my way through any of these networking events. So it's out there. I just opened up, I let myself be vulnerable. I told him that this is what I have problem with. But he has a lot of experience and he guided me on what are some of the things that are okay to say. How do I respond when someone is talking about something? And he was very patient with this. And he, the strategic forum meetings that he spoke about earlier, he introduced me, he got me an invite to those, and I attend those meetings every month. So it's like I have a practice session every single month, about 2 hours every month. It's just a practice session on networking with different industry professionals. And I feel just getting that practice has gotten me used to kind of push my self-confidence back up. I now feel more confident when I speak to people. I at least have a good sense of myself. I'm still probably not as good, but I do feel better personally, and I feel more confident when I, speak to people and network here.
Great, thank you, Priya. And I know hearing and talking to you, you shared so many stories and how Richard has helped you, right? But if you can actually recall a single moment that made you grateful for working with your mentor and being a part of EOC, what would that be for you?
I think this networking thing pretty much covered it, but just going to share another small thing that I can recall. The entire experience, I'm just really grateful for it. But he was, he was very open to not just like, even though it's a mentor assigned like from Baruch, he wasn't just open to talking about like professional academic stuff. He was also open to listening if there were any personal challenges. And moving here, it was a lot of change. I struggled initially just trying to get everything. I was terrible with managing my time. I have a tendency to bite off more than I can chew, and I had taken on a lot of things. And I felt like he was the perfect person. He even shared his personal ways of how he manages his time, because he juggles running a business. His time management topics are very different from mine, because he's like, he runs a business, he teaches as a faculty, and he has his own like personal life, mentoring, everything. But mine were more like, oh, hey, I have to, have to do my chores, I have to do my academics, I have to finish assignments. I'm probably looking for internships. I want to, I don't know, get into a club. What do I do? So these were my things, but he was very patient in listening to me. And he even advised me on how he manages his time. What are some of the things that I can do to manage my time better? And I think I'm really grateful for that. I'm still juggling a lot, and I'm not like, but I am better than I was before in my time management.
Great, thank you. Richard, we're hearing so much from Priya, how you've helped her and really worked through a lot of challenges that she's had, right? And, I constantly, and even in my guidebook, I talk a little bit about reverse mentoring, right? And how that, yes, this is a student-driven program and our students are learning from it, but that also it's an opportunity for mentors to learn sometimes from our mentees, right? So what would you say, Richard, has been one of your most valuable learnings in working with your mentees through the EOC program?
Well, I think, well, first of all, if we talk about Priya specifically, she has a lot of expertise on social media, which I don't have. I mean, my LinkedIn profile is very robust, but I don't know too much about the other things. So I did really depend on her, and that's how she ended up with this job. helping us with social media and marketing strategy. So, one thing, that I think is also, important is that for all my mentees, I always did focus, on what their strong points were. And Priya, every time she was, had a lack of confidence, I said, "You're so articulate, you're so smart, you make such a good presentation." And I did that with whatever my mentees are, legitimately, whatever their, strong skills are. So I knew she was new to the country, but I knew matter of fact, I told her when she was don't just send in a resume. I said, you have to have a meeting with people because people are going to be so impressed with you. I said, basically, when she gave me her resume, I said, this resume is a waste of time. Okay. It's a waste of paper. This resume does not do anything for you. I said, you just have to have as many meetings, as possible, because she's just, she just is terrific, especially on verbal skills and written skills. The other thing, which I hadn't mentioned, but just so people realize, even though we did move to Florida, I come up to New York twice a year, and this last year, Priya and I did meet. And the first time it was like on a Sunday, and she did come to the hotel we were staying at, but I'm just saying it took her I think 3 hours because the subways, of course, don't work always on Sunday. But I really appreciate it. I said, you don't have to do this. And she said, no, I want to do it. So I really appreciated that she said, no, I have to meet you in person. And then the second time was this past June where, we met for lunch and things like that. So it's really nice. But whether it's all virtual or it's a combination, I teach relationships, and you can certainly build very strong relations virtually. So you can be anywhere in the world. Matter of fact, most of our staff are global people. They don't work in New York or they don't work in Florida. So it can definitely work.
Thank you. So I know we're kind of running and getting close to the end. So before I ask you one final question, I want to just open it up to the group to see if anyone here has any questions for Richard, for Priya, comments that they would like to share. You can either put it in the chat box and Canto will let us know, or you can just unmute yourself and ask away.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep, you're good.
How are you? So I just want to, first of all, I thank you so much for sharing your story, you guys, and it's great for everybody, whether they're new or coming back into the program. And I just really want to reiterate that about Priya was saying how she felt jitters about, oh, why would this person want to spend time with me? Honestly, when I started a few years back, I was thinking, what am I going to bring? What am I going to bring? So I just want to point out that mentees aren't the only ones who feel that way. Sometimes new mentors feel that way, and sometimes even old mentors feel that way. But there is so much that comes from the relationship and just, people at different levels and different experiences in their life stage and career stage have a lot to offer each other, whether it's a new perspective or expertise. So, I would just encourage everybody to steer clear of those feelings and just know it's not unusual to feel that way, but it's certainly not valid. And, it's just I really enjoy being a mentor. So thank you.
Olga.
There's a question in the chat from Janet. Janet said, Priya and Richard, what do you recommend for substantive, non-professional, non-academic networking? I'll put the question in the chat again because I think it went up the... Oops, give me a second.
I'm not sure if I understand the exact question.
Oops, give me a second. So let me just find the question because I also lost it, actually.
This is Janet. May I speak up?
Yes, go ahead, Janet. I lost the question.
Invited my mentees to non-Baruch academic activities say at the CFA Institute or Fordham University or University of Pennsylvania or Columbia University, so they could, I don't want to say expand, but expand and possibly enrich their future professional, personal, and academic relationships, and also meals, just a quiet time over some food, seem to be very helpful as well. So could you please comment on those non-academic, non-professional type things, either in conversation or in meeting in person, that have really enriched the mentee-mentor relationship for both of you? Thanks a lot.
Priya, do you want to?
Yeah, I feel like one thing we managed to do was establish a good rapport right at the beginning. And I know it's a little bit, it may not happen for everyone. It's like, I would say one part of us got lucky because we just happened to, I would say, have the same frequency. So it was just easier to establish. But it was also like Richard was very open, to talking about things outside just the whole job search. Like there was an agenda for every meeting in terms of like, this is what we needed to establish or talk about. But he always used to check in. He always used to ask me, how are you doing? Like outside of all this, how is everything going? Like, I told him initially just to introduce myself. He asked me, where I came from, what I am, what stage of my life I am currently, what am I going through, in terms of personally, in terms of moving to a new country and all the other changes. And I was also open to talking about these things, which is where it helped us establish a more personal connection. So we did have things to talk about outside of this. I used to talk to him about my hobbies. I like art and painting. And so I used to tell him if I was working on something new. And Richard would say the same thing if he would visit his grandchildren or, some of these other things. So it was just nice. And I feel like that translated into having a good relationship and also sustained outside the tenure of the program, which is like from September to May. And yeah, I feel I from my perspective, I felt that's what really helped.
It sounds wonderful. Thank you, Priya.
Right. We are running out of time. We do have to move forward to our next part of our program. So, but before we go and end here, Richard, Priya, do you guys have any one last final advice for our mentees and mentors here tonight?
Well, number one, be honest with each other. I think that's important. If someone submits a resume or if they only have 13 connections on LinkedIn, don't tell them, oh, you have a good LinkedIn profile. No, LinkedIn is one of the most important things. And if you don't have a good profile, it's going to hinder your career. So, try to be as honest as possible. And then in general, I always tell people you got to be patient and you have to be flexible, no matter what the business is or what life brings you. So that would be my advice.
Priya, you want to add anything?
No, I think what Richard said kind of resonates with what I say too. Sometimes it sounds very, you before you say something, you think to yourself like, does it make me look very stupid? But it's okay to be open. It's okay to be honest and ask for help because they are here to help you. Because if you kind of cover it up with something or just give them vague, broad, upper level, responses, or you just ask them like, hey, I need help with my career search, that doesn't get you anywhere. Like being specific, sometimes it's okay to sound stupid, but I mean, excuse my language, but it's okay to sound stupid, but ask the right questions. And it's okay to say, no, I'm really bad at this. I don't know what to do here. Help me. Like that's what they're here for. And I'm pretty sure even if they were not in your shoes and even if they are not the right person to help you, they have that mindset and they will connect you to someone who can. even though, and I'm kind of dragging this a little bit, but I had students who had, some of my friends and some of the, people I know come up to me and say, hey, I don't think it's going to work because this person is not in a particular company. I don't think they can help. I feel that's the wrong way to look at it, because even if they can't help, they will connect you to someone who help. Or, Richard did that. Even though he didn't have the expertise or the experience in a particular area that I wanted, he connected me to some of his other mentees who are now working in those industries, and I spoke to them. So that's my last.
Absolutely. Thank you, Richard, and thank you, Priya. I think those are all really great advice and something that I also constantly stress when I'm talking to mentors and mentees, right? It's just being honest, being open, and don't hesitate to share those questions that you have, because at the end of the day, this is going to be a learning opportunity for both. And so I do want to say again, thank you so much, Richard. Thank you so much, Priya, for being here tonight, for serving on this panel, and for sharing your expertise, your knowledge, your experience. I am now going to turn this over back to Deshawn, who will introduce the next portion of our program.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly. And I know we are super pressed for time. I especially know that because I see all of the dropping off messages and people having to go to class and other things. So just before I speak to what the next piece of the agenda is, if I can just ask everybody if you are comfortable, if you're okay, Canto would like to take some photos of us in our Zoom windows for the social media profile of EOC. So if you're not comfortable, feel free to turn off your camera, and this is the time to do it. And if you are, just want to take a quick moment just to see those lovely smiles and have everybody see that this is the community. This is what we're talking about when we speak about executives on campus. Canto, just let me know when you are good on the pictures. And there's a lot of people, so there's like sliding, swiping of windows and all of that. Yes. Some of y'all are so still. I thought that there were pictures already, and no, it's actual people just smiling. All right, thank you, Canto. We are complete. And so with that, we actually are done with the first main portion of the launch event. Now we go to my second contender for best part of the experience, which is the breakout rooms. This is when we get to see there's a lot of questions that were coming up about mentorship with both Priya and Richard. Some of you that didn't get your questions answered, please bring them into your breakout rooms. There's going to be a mixture of mentees and mentors that are new and seasoned, not old, but seasoned. And we will get a chance to really dig into what are like some best practices and things that can help to support you in having a great relationship as a mentee and as a mentor. And so with that, I think we're good. And Canto, I'm looking to you to start putting us in rooms.
Yes. So Jerry's actually in the back end, opening the breakout rooms now. So they should all be open. If you do not have a breakout room, please let us know and we'll make sure to add you into one of those rooms. Oh, I see that we still have some people who are signed in. Jerry is gonna assign anyone else who's still in the main room. If you do have students, if you have a class and you have to leave, you're all good. But if you want to join the breakout room, please let us know and we'll make sure to add you into one. Yes, George. Let me make sure that yes, I think it takes a little while, but we'll make sure that everybody gets assign into a VR room. Thank you, Jerry. I think that's it. Let me just make sure if anyone else needs to. Everybody should be assigned to a breakout room. If you did not yet join, please let us know if you need us to remove you and add you again. Or if you
who've been have there been mentors mentors who have been